Welcome to Parenthood Unscripted, where honest conversations about raising kids take center stage. I'm your host, Samantha Taylor, speech language pathologist, business owner, and mom of two. Each episode, I sit down with professionals and real parents to talk about the parts of parenting we don't always say out loud, the challenges, the growth, the joy, and everything in between. Whether you're looking for connection, perspective, or simply to feel less alone, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Before we get to the episode, a quick note for anyone listening who has a story, perspective, or professional insight around parenting, child development, education, or advocacy. Parenthood Unscripted is always looking for guests who are open to honest, real conversations, the kind that help parents feel seen and supported in the messy, beautiful parts of raising kids. If that's you, I'd love for you to apply to be a guest on the show. You can find the application link in the show notes. I can't wait to hear from you. Now let's get to the episode. I am so excited today to have Jenna with us. Jenna is a second generation entrepreneur, certified holistic leadership and business coach, author and speaker who empowers high achieving leaders and entrepreneurs to fuse strategy with emotional intelligence, spiritual awareness, and personal growth. Jenna, I am so excited and honored to have you here. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
So, kind of looking into your story and what you've done so far, I was really, really impressed. But one thing I did notice is you recently talked about the weight of expectations. I think it was a post about your children and a nomination that you have. Congratulations.
Thank
But
you.
I was wondering, where do those expectations come from you? Are they from family, culture, yourself, social media, somewhere else? Where do those come from for
All
you?
all of the above? D, all of the above? Yeah, I mean, as a woman in the 21st century, I think as a mother, as a business owner, we there is a unspoken expectation through culture, climate, social media, society that and maybe even ourselves, right? The stories that we've told ourselves, which are probably the most powerful of all of those, that we have to be a 1950s stay-at-home mom type, but also successful career women. And we all of that should look exactly the same. And in reality, it doesn't and it can't. And so the ability to find harmony and flow within being a successful, what I deem successful, being a successful business owner, while also being able to be there for my children the way that I want to be, the mom that I want to be, can be heavy sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. It's such a great point. I know for me, kind of being a mother and having that entrepreneurial spirit
Mhm.
as well, it can be so hard to balance. So I love how you talk about what kind of like a rich life is, and it's finding that balance, that harmony. So
Mhm.
I'm curious, how has that shaped the way you parent or lead in your business?
It has shaped it tremendously. The concept, as I'm sure you've heard, of the transferable skills between how I show up in my business and how I show up as a mom is so transferable. And that is because my business is not separate from me. It is an extension of me. The way that I show up at home and with my kids and with my family is essentially the exact same way that I'm showing up with you right now. Really authentically, transparently, as best possible, right? Um, sure, the context and the verbiage may look a tad different. I have a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So some of the words that I might be using, they get layman's terms for the little ones. But in full transparency, who we are anywhere is who we are everywhere. So I speak to my kids in a way that is really open and honest and raw. And I don't want to necessarily say like they're adults, but kind of like they're adults.
Well, and I think that's wonderful too, because then they're seeing you being authentic, being who you are, in a variety of ways, but then they're also seeing a model of who they can be when they grow up too. It's such an important thing as a parent that we want to carry with us is how we shape our kids. So I think it's lovely that they get to be able to observe you, being authentic, being showing up for both work and them in a very similar way. So I think that's amazing. Um,
I do my
so
best.
yeah, and it's not not an easy task, and I'm sure some days are
No.
easier than others, speaking from experience.
Well,
But
and that's the harmony, right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So having that harmony and having that intention too, I think, is really important too. And kind of what I've seen from you, it seems like you are very intentional in how you kind of move through life. And how does that show up for you day to day, whether it's as a parent, partner, professional, all of the above?
Well, I think it shows up a little differently every single day, given what my calendar looks like, given what their calendar looks like. So, my husband and I are as intentional as possible. Of course, there's some balls that get dropped because we do have quite a few juggling in the air at the same time. But it's really based around intentional communication and having that communication be the forefront of all of our relationships. What do we have going on today? What does your work day look like? What does my work day look like? And then in full transparency, so our kids are they're all athletes and they're wonderful athletes, and I'm so proud. It's one of my favorite things on this planet is to watch them do what they love to do. And so, right after this call, I am packing up and then heading out to Buffalo for a dance competition and convention. So it's really planning ahead and properly planning so that I'm not essentially planning to fail. Right? And so that is my time management skills have gotten I'm um, pretty proud of them, if I can be
Yeah.
honest. It's communicating and really just telling our time where to go and being on each other's team and having each other's back.
Yeah, that's such an important point, especially when you have so many balls and it kind of up in the air, and you have kids who also have so many balls up in the air too. It's
Yes.
so easy to lose sight of that and unfortunately experience maybe some burnout, things like that. So I think it's really important, as you had mentioned, kind of plan and communicating, being
Mhm.
intentional with that time, making sure that you're kind of finding that balance and that harmony that you had mentioned. Was that natural for you, or did you have to learn that?
I think it's a both and, if I'm being transparent. I have a natural ability to hold a lot on my plate. So we talk about capacity and bandwidth in my coaching, right? And so I've always referred to my capacity and my bandwidth as being like the size of a Thanksgiving dinner platter, right? What I had to learn was that I didn't have to fill up the entire platter. Just because it's big doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be full to the brim. I might have a 10-pound bag, but to fill it with 12 pounds makes no sense. For me to be able to fill it with 8 pounds and then rely on others and be able to communicate my words and set healthy boundaries has definitely been a learned experience for me.
What does that look like for the mom who is kind of currently carrying around 12 pounds in her 10-pound bag? So we know it can be so easy to take on more because we have to be super moms. We're expected to do it all the time. And sometimes, I don't know about for you or for your clients, but sometimes I kind of buy into my own hype. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And I'm adding more and more and more. And then it's until I realize, oh gosh, my bag is busting that I can't. So what I guess kind of a two part. So what is
Sure.
it that a woman maybe needs to identify to know that, oh gosh, I am over capacity, but then what does she do to help get herself out of that?
Yeah. So this is going to be one of like the biggest hard easies, and hard easy is a concept and a principle that I teach all my clients. And essentially it states every day we face a series of life decisions, right? Science shows there's around 30 to 35,000 decisions that any one person makes every day. Now, granted, some of those decisions aren't major life decisions, right? Most of them aren't. However, when I talk about big life decisions, that's what are you putting on your plate that is already full? And so doing what appears to be the hard thing first so that our life gets easier in the end. And that looks like having a level of an intentional level of awareness. Telling yourself, taking time to slow down, to speed up and just say, wait a second, okay, I'm overwhelmed right now. Why am I overwhelmed? What does this look like? What does it feel like in my body? And really kind of just pay attention on purpose to what's going on for you in that moment, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, all of the things, right? Once you have that level of awareness, you can slow down and say, all right, listen, I'm a great cook, Samantha. I'm a really good cook. Don't ask me to bake anything, but I'm a really good cook. Does that mean that I want to cook dinner every night?
Right.
No, I don't. I absolutely don't. Just because we can do something does not necessarily mean that we have to. And so it's giving ourselves permission to tell ourselves the truth about ourself. And that's tricky. That can be really tricky. Owning our stuff and just saying, listen, I don't have to do it all just because I can. So, what does that look like? Leaning on our significant other, leaning on support, having that village to say, hey, I need help. Do you mind? I'm really overwhelmed right now and I haven't finished my laundry. Any chance you can run? I number my kids, by the way. You can run one, two, or three home from practice for me.
I love that.
It's a little bit easier when I'm spitting out everybody's names at
Yep.
once, right? Um, and more times than not, people are more than welcome and more than happy to help you out. It's just having that love for yourself enough to ask.
Yeah. I love that. Those are such great points. Because one of the biggest things is I do see a lot of the parents that I work with, they do kind of lose sight of what they're feeling in their body. They're so in the flow of go, 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 go that they
Yeah.
don't take a moment to check in with their body. They are chronic.
Reactionary.
Yes, yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
then we get those either burnouts or burn ups and burn outs. So then
Yeah.
it can be really tough because then parents may show up as someone that they don't necessarily want to show up as. So I think that's such a great point, is slowing down, checking in with your body. Does this resonate? Does this feel good? Or is there some anxieties around it? Okay, there are. What is that communicating to me? And another
Mhm.
piece is, I think it's another great point that I personally had to learn, is people want to help, but they don't know
Mhm.
how unless you tell them. So
Right.
I think that it's especially a lot of the families I work with have children with special needs. And so that is uh, a journey in and of itself. And it's so fulfilling, but it's so exhausting. So
Hmm.
it's that old adage, you can't fill from an empty cup.
Sure.
So it's really important what you're sharing here is take that time, check in with yourself. Um, Figure out what you need help with, ask for the help. Even if you don't know what you need help with, sometimes just saying I need help is enough to give you your brain permission to start thinking of ways and areas where you need that help.
I was just gonna say that, right? We don't slow down enough. We tell ourselves, I don't even know what I would need help with, or I can do it so much faster, so I'll just do it, right?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, all of that is a story that we tell ourselves. None of
Uh-huh.
that's really true. We're just, like I said, we're going too quickly. We're not doing what I call slowing down to actually speed up. If I allowed myself to really think, if I was intentional to say, what do I need help with? I could list off so many things that I need help with. Truth be told, before this conversation, I thought to myself, I want to make a list of all the things that I want my husband and my other children to do this weekend around the house. Because, and look, and I say this with love, but a lot of times people need to be told.
Hmm.
They need to be told. Not everybody has that innate ability to read our minds.
Yeah.
They want to help, but if they're not told what that looks like for us, then we don't know what we don't know. right? So I was like, okay, make sure that the laundry gets put away. Like making this list for myself, knowing that my husband and the kids they're not going to have an issue with it. They'll do it.
Well, and I think that is really great too, is that you have created a culture in your home where people are supporting each other and working together to kind of get those household we call them household duties in our
Yeah.
house, and so we're all part of the same team, right? So it's being able to delegate to our other team members in our home. And one of my big mantras, as a former perfectionist, is done is better than perfect. So as you're kind of
Yes.
saying, people may do things differently. They might not do it as quickly as us, they might not do it to the same level of detail as us, but that's okay because it's at least getting done. And just because someone does it different doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just different. Um,
Right.
and one thing for our house, similarly, so I'll make lists and what have you, but we do a family meeting every Sunday. We are Team Taylor in this house. And we
That's so
do
funny. We do a similar thing. I love that.
yeah, it's a game changer because then you
Mhm.
are able to go through the week. Okay, this kid has basketball practice here. Oh no, this kid has swim lessons here. And it's like, who's going to do what? Oh, wait, we have a party on Thursday. Who's going to run to Target? So it's really, really helpful because then it's able to calm down some of that mental chatter of that to-do list as you're
Mhm.
able to kind of find a place for it with
Yep.
each member of your team or your family. So I think that I know for us has been huge in changing the dynamic in the burnout, because
Yeah.
there typically is one person in a family that kind of takes on the bulk of like the mental to-do lists and things like that. Um,
There's always a primary parent. When I say primary, and I share this with all of my clients and even my friends, I don't mean, just like the solo parent. There is a primary parent and a secondary parent in every family that has two caregivers, right? Nothing wrong with being the secondary. I have a lot of moms who are the secondary parent who say that. I work, a lot of my nurses, a lot of my medical providers, a lot of business owners, a lot of female business owners are also sometimes the secondary parent. And there's nothing wrong with that. And you're talking about still having that level of communication, still really being intentional with how you're communicating what's going on within the household. And don't get me wrong, balls drop, right? Like there has been times where it's just like, oh my gosh, so and so's got a birthday party and I'm out of town on a speaking engagement. You got to run to Target. I'm so sorry I forgot to scoop that gift, right? It happens. It's allowing yourself to just give yourself permission to be human too. And that's really tricky. It's tricky. It doesn't have to be, but it is. It's a hard easy, right? It's hard to do that.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is, I think in current culture, there has been this huge stigmatization of the primary versus secondary parent or the default parent. But really, it's communicating those roles and kind of knowing, okay, this parent will maybe take on these roles, and this is how this parent will support. And I think as long as you're talking about that communication is solid, then it can be a really, really beautiful thing. For example, in our house, I'm the primary and my husband's secondary, but he is the best um, completer of tasks. So he's
Mhm.
really wonderful. If I have that mental to-do list, if I delegate some tasks, he will complete them because those are the roles that we have defined. And
Yes.
it doesn't happen overnight. It's years of, for us, it was
No.
years of kind of figuring out like who we best show up as, but it was worth the work because now we have a household that's not perfect by any means,
There's no
but
such thing,
exactly,
right?
exactly. But we work really, really well.
And you know each other's love languages,
Yeah.
right? So, and you're able to speak those love languages. And that is so important for a loving, sustainable relationship that is building a family as well. And look, every season is different, right? So we show up differently, not intentionally, but as our kids get older, we adjust, right? As the diapers in the daycare go away, new exciting challenges and opportunities arise. So we're also learning aside our family and our kids. And I think that's so important for moms and working moms and business owners and entrepreneurs to understand that when we are struggling, when we feel like we reach this level of burnout or overwhelm or frustration, you're learning too. You're learning what it looks like to be a mom of a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 7-year-old, speaking from personal experience. You're learning what it looks like to no longer have babies anymore, and all your kids are school age, but you're still a middle mom because they still need you a lot, and you're still kissing every boo-boo. However, right, you no longer have to bring all the snacks. You no longer have to make sure that their water bottle is filled because guess what? They can do that. So it's a learning, an adapting learning process for all of us all the time.
Yeah, yeah, and normalizing that too. And that's something my boys are 17 and 11. Um
Okay.
and so there'll be times where people are like, "Oh, your boys are older, you have it figured out." And I'm like, "No, each year I'm raising a wholly different person." So it's
100%.
I'm learning how to be a mom every single year because who the 16-year-old that I parented is very different than the 17-year-old that I'm parenting. So I love that. It's that reminder that we need is that we are learning alongside of our kids because I don't know about you. I wasn't a mom before I had my first son, so I don't know how to do it. So it is
No,
learning.
no, of course.
So yeah, I
We're
think
Nobody really knows how to do it. There's no manual.
right.
Yet we're so hard on ourselves. And
Yeah.
that's such a just that in and of itself is when we say these things out loud, it's why are we so hard on ourselves when there's no manual for parenting? And if you have more than one kid, every child is so different.
Hmm.
I don't know about you, but there's no way that I can parent all three of my kids the same way.
Yeah, no, my boys, it's so funny. I always say they are polar opposites. One eats vegetables, one doesn't. One loves sports, one doesn't. One loves
Yep.
music, one doesn't. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Because even if you have figured out how to parent your child, your one child that's in front of you, chances are that second, third, fourth, however many children, they all have unique personalities. They all
Right.
have differences and different needs and different
Yeah.
love languages themselves.
Right. And then you throw in hormones and you're like, all right, I'm done.
Yep. Yep. I always say I was nailing it until my son hit puberty, and I was like, it all went out the window.
But when you think about it, and I'm also a doula. I don't know if you saw that. I have put doing births on hold because of my kids' busy schedules and because just because I can do it doesn't mean, right?
Yep.
But as it relates to the coaching side of doula, outside of being physically at the birth, I do support a lot of my moms in that. And I always tell them, you're going to have it figured out, and then they're going to have a leap, right? And then they're going to have a sleep regression, and everything you thought you knew gets literally thrown out the window.
Yep.
But this is actually a good thing for you to be able to see what you're getting yourself into because it doesn't necessarily stop when they're babies. Then they have cognitive developmental things, and then they have friendships, and then they have hormones and puberty. So this all is just prepping you for the ebbs and flows, right? The law of rhythm states everything ebbs and flows. So being able to give yourself permission that you are also ebbing and flowing and learning is a complete game changer.
Absolutely. And that makes me think. So, talking to you, you're so well spoken, so impressive. And I'm curious though, who is the version of you that got you here? So,
That's a good question. Who is the version of me that got me here? Well, I think there's a couple of them. I don't think there's one particular version. For me, from a mom perspective, I did not have a solid foundational mother figure in my life. And so the one constant was typically my father, who is the founder of our company. So he is a very brilliant coach and mentor as well. And there's two ways that we learn, right? We learn by example, but it's either positive or negative. And so as it relates to how I show up in my motherhood, I have, I think it's just innate, if in full transparency. I just learned what not to do. And I was able to take that and see through various different relationships that I had with older women, whether it was my mother, my stepmother, my aunts, um, how I did not want to be. And then I had aunts and other grandmothers who were incredible, and some of my best friends' moms. My friends growing up had really amazing moms, and I'm still friends with these women today, and their moms are still some of the most incredible people that have just shown me how I want to show up for my children. So there's a lot of versions of me that mourned not having my own, that just kind of subconsciously made it my job to figure this out on my own and do everything that they didn't do, that mine didn't do. And I'm still navigating, still healing all those wounds. They still show up, right? The perfectionist, the people pleaser in me, a chronic people pleaser. That's why, survival mode. I did a lot of surviving on my own. So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know if that answers your question because I don't have one particular answer. I think that there's a lot of versions of me over time that has evolved in great ways, in tough ways, but ways that have really given me permission to accept myself.
Yeah, no, I think that was beautiful because um we don't get to choose our parents at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I relate to what you just shared very, very deeply.
Okay.
And
Good.
so
Good and
it,
no.
right,
Right?
right, right. So there is a lot of grieving that goes into that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, oh goodness, I didn't have the best example of what to do, but I certainly know what I do not want to repeat with my children. And
Yeah.
so I think what I'm hearing is that you remained open. You're open to female role models, whether it's through um, women in the community or your friends' mothers, but you didn't allow that to close your heart off from showing up in the way that you needed to for your children because it unfortunately can kind of go one of two ways. One of this is who I don't want to be. I want to be a positive force for my family, for my community. I want to learn from these women who I deem to be positive role models. Or it can be, you know
Yeah.
what? I wasn't taken care of. I wasn't cared for. Why should I? And so I
Yeah.
think it's really beautiful what you just shared.
Yeah. Well, thank you that you said it, you reflected back very like perfectly, right? I could have gone one of two ways. And I know that. I do. I know it could have gone one of two ways, and I'm very grateful that it went the way that I wanted it to. Um, but again, I'm also so aware of the fact that I'm not perfect and I do still react and I do still project a lot of my own crap. Um, but I'm human. And I think the biggest thing is just owning it. Owning it. And when I do freak out on my kids, like I was freaked out on, I get on their level and I hug them. And sometimes I cry and I just say, I'm sorry. I screwed up. I
Yeah.
screwed up. And what I said was not kind. The way that I responded was not kind. And I'm sorry. And I hope you can forgive me. And if you're upset at me, that's okay. You're allowed to be.
Well, I think that's such an important takeaway in general is that we are all human. We are never expected to be perfect. But when we do mess up or we do show up as a version of us that we aren't necessarily impressed with in the moment, that we take
Yeah.
accountability, we apologize, we normalize it for our children, and we'll give them the space to allow them to be upset with us because um, a lot of speaking from personal experience,
Hmm.
my parents were kind of on pedestals. So if I got yelled at, it's because I was wrong.
Yeah.
Versus with my boys, if they get yelled at, they may have done something, but I didn't show up in the way I wanted to in that moment. So I own that. I apologize. You know what? I had a short fuse. I'm so sorry. You did not deserve to be talked to in that way. Let me
Hmm.
try again. If you're mad at me, that's okay. You are more than it's more than reasonable for you to be upset with me in this moment. So giving them that space to really feel their emotions, not feel shame for it is
Yeah.
huge.
Well, and what you're saying, that's like talking to them like an adult, right? In my mind, right? We're not treating them like they're little kids and they're not worthy enough to have that level of communication. It's, listen, I screwed up. Or sometimes I truly, I'll say to them, this has nothing to do with you, but mom needs a moment
Yeah.
because you're coming in and you're just being kids and you're loud and you're excited and you're doing all the things, but your level of energy right now, totally normal, but it's a little bit too much for me.
Yeah.
So
Same.
I need like give me a breather,
Yep.
right? And that just invites them into the space to be able to say the same because we couldn't do that, right? Like
Mhm.
our parents didn't communicate that to us. What they would do is they would just yell at us for being too loud or annoying or
Mhm.
right when we're just being they were just being kids.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and again, kind of circling back to near the beginning of our conversation, is it's modeling for them on how they handle conflict or handle situations where they may be overstimulated or may have said something that they didn't intend to say. So you're
Hmm.
showing them what it's like to repair those situations, which I think is beautiful. So kind of wrapping up, I've
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed our conversation today. It's been amazing and exactly, I feel like is divine timing because it's exactly what I needed to hear in this moment.
Oh,
So thank you
it
for
is
that.
divine timing. I love
Yes,
that.
yes. So is there any final thoughts that you wanted to share? Anything that you are maybe have in the works or anything? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, actually, I'm launching very soon, any day now, just kind of tying some loose ends. A very it's called Aligned at First Light. And what it is, it's a small little package of guided meditations. I wrote a gratitude journal, a guided gratitude journal, and it has a intention statement template in it. So an intention statement template is or an intention statement is a 3 to 4 sentence statement that essentially I co-create with whoever fills it out. And that statement is just that. It's to tap into our higher power, to tap into the best version of ourselves with intentionality, love, patience, kindness, acceptance, confidence. And so this package I'm going to put on our site, and this is just for the mom, the parent, the entrepreneur, the business owner, the leader to have the tools to be able to start their day in love, confidence, peace, gratitude, acceptance. Because so often, especially as moms and entrepreneurs, the alarm goes up, we wake up and we're going. We got to wake this kid up, we got to make lunches, we got to make sure everybody's got, clean socks and then get them off to their prospective spaces. And so this is just a little toolkit that I've created that I would love, check it out, very small fee. And this gives you everything that you essentially need to be the greatest expression of who you want to be.
That sounds incredible. And I for sure will be checking that out because that's
Good.
something that it's so funny. Again, I've been really working on morning kind of routine. So it'll be
Rituals.
perfect for that.
Yes,
Yes, yes,
perfect.
yes. So
Good.
where is the best place for people to find you?
So I am on all the social medias. My Instagram is Jenna_D'Annunzio 3. I'm on Facebook. My website is soulpurposeinstitute.com. I'm not really on X. but there is some things that show up there, but mostly Facebook and Instagram
Awesome.
and my website.
Perfect. And all of those will be linked right in the show notes.
Oh yeah, and LinkedIn.
Oh,
Forgot about that.
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, yep, they'll all be there with links. And I, again, am so grateful for this opportunity to talk with you. It's been incredible.
I know. Thank you so much for having me and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too. Enjoy. Is it a dance recital?
It's a dance competition
Yes.
and convention. So
Awesome. Well, I
thank
hope you have the
you.
best time. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Parenthood Unscripted. If today's conversation resonated with you, please share it with another parent who might need it. You can follow along on Instagram at Parenthood Unscripted for updates, clips, and future guest announcements. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and I'll see you next time.